the streets of Chicago to the headlines of the world, you are now tuned into the rhythm of real thought. This is the Daily Mix. 15 minutes of uncut perspective starts right now.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to a Daily Mix. 15 minutes of real life, real talk. And we're tuning up the frequency for your day. I'm your host, Omari Jahi. And we just ask that you please subscribe, I should say, to our YouTube channel. I'm Omari Jahi. I have a YouTube channel, Omari Jahi. All you have to do is type my name in, go to my channel and subscribe. That's where you can watch this podcast live every day, Monday through Friday, on our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, a Daily Mix Facebook page. Just type it in and bring us up. And then also, please like and comment. Make a comment on the show, because we do, if you have questions or comments, we do show them on the podcast, and we just want everybody to be able to feel like they are participating in some way or another in the podcast, all right? So, again, remember, like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would greatly appreciate it. Our subject for today, though, is tattoos and body piercings. A lot of that's going on, and we have to really look at this thing because there's been like a generational shift of some kind, to whereas if we would just acknowledge how drastically the visual landscape has changed over the last few decades. I mean, if we go back 30 or 40 years, visible tattoos and facial piercings meant you were a sailor or you were part of a biker gang or actively just defying the establishment. If you had a neck tattoo, you weren't getting no job at no bank. But today, the bank manager has full sleeves and a nose ring. Go figure, y'all. I mean, this is the world we're living in. I mean, am I saying it's wrong? I think this is why I'm bringing this conversation up today. I'm not saying it's wrong to have tattoos or it's wrong to have ear piercings or nose piercings or tongue piercings or whatever. You want to do is your body. You do what you want to do. I just want to have a conversation as far as why do people get these things? What is the mindset behind it? So, I mean, did corporations of the world just loosen up their thought processes or did the meaning behind the ink and the iron fundamentally shift some kind of way? Or maybe we're looking at when people get these things, tattoos and piercings, maybe we're looking at a fashion statement, right? Or maybe people are just being rebellious. Or maybe it's high art. This is what we're looking into today. And we're going to have a conversation about it. So let's deal with the rebellious part of it first. Again, please make sure if you have any comments or suggestions or whatever, please put it in the comment section. We'll see it on stage here, and we'll put it up for you. All right, so let's get started. Let's deal with this rebellious thing or this pushback personality that could be what we say the source behind piercings or tattoos or whatever. Now, for a long time, modifying your body was a loud, undeniable no in society. I mean, like I said, 30, 40 years, it was like, ain't nobody thinking about it. But then I thought about this. You had those goth people that are into golf, and that's the people that wear they wear black, and they wear the black lipstick, black eyeliner, and usually they had piercings and tattoos and things like that, and We thought those people were weird back then, or they just had some emotional or psychological issues or something like that. But now people are doing it today. They don't go as far as the lipstick, well, some do. But what is behind it? In a world where people felt they had no control over their environment, their economy, or their government, the body was the one piece of real estate that people absolutely owned. Piercings or tattoos, it was a way of saying that I do not belong to your system. Plain and simple. For those of you that are listening, and if you have a tattoo, put in the comment section, what was your motivation when you got a tattoo? I really would like to know. But is it still rebellion today if people do that? When the counterculture becomes the mainstream, counterculture, the opposite becomes the mainstream. Like I said, back in the day, people weren't thinking about that. But now it seems like it's a mainstream thing now in our culture. Does a tattoo lose its edge? You can't really call it a rebellion when everyone in the PTA meeting has matching wrist ink. It's not rebellion. It's something in the society that has shifted. And this is why I'm asking the question: what is the thing that shifted that makes us still or want to get this ink or a bull nose ring? Whenever I saw those, I thought about how you could put your finger in there and lead a person around. I know that's crazy. I know. But it just made me think about that, And what about people that might say, well, it's a fashion thing for me, a fashion statement. I mean, I've seen some ink, they get real creative with it, but I don't know if you got designer. I don't know. Is there a designer ink, or something to that effect? We have to be honest. Sometimes it really isn't that deep sometimes. It is just pure aesthetics. A trend chasing, people chasing trends, and that's just what it is. But then I hear a lot of people saying that they're in pop culture, and that pop culture influenced a lot of this. I know in pop music, rock entertainers, they were the ones with the piercings, and they were the ones with the nose rings and the tattoos and things of that nature. But now let's look at hip hop and athletes and today's modern pop stars. Tatted up is normalized. When an NBA player or a global rapper icon covers themselves in ink, it immediately becomes a status symbol and a fashion trend for the youth. Now, I remember saying this once before, because I'm the kind, I analyze stuff, and I'm the kind of person that when I see things and when I start seeing a pattern, I start connecting the dots. Give you an example. When these movies started coming out, what's the name of this movie? Juice, New Jersey Drive, Boys in the Hood, movies like that. What's the other one with Ice-T was in it? I can't remember the name of it. Y'all know which one I'm talking about. But these movies begin to influence fashion. Even with the one that Janet Jackson was in, Poetic Justice, the big dookie braids that she was wearing women started coming out with these braids, you know, and it began to affect the fashion, the styles, and things like that. What's going on, Alicia? I see Alicia has a comment here. What you saying, Alicia? It says African ancestries did piercings as a spiritual thing, which some took on. Okay, I agree with that. It was a African spiritual thing, and some part, but most of the people that do that, they wear African garb as well. You ain't gonna see now. I see people with piercings and things like that. I even seen the big old holes in the earlobe. That is a cultural African kind of thing. But normally when you see people like that or with things like that, you can tell they're into the African culture because they'll wear the dashikis and other African garb to kind of complement that. And then she said, too, companies started to get sued for discrimination because, again, people say it's a part of their culture. Wow, you know what? Y'all need to tune in to our podcast tonight at 8 o'clock because we're going to be discussing Black culture tonight at 8 o'clock. Because I beg to differ. We use that terminology real loosely. What is Black culture? And in my opinion, Black culture has evolved over the years. It used to be one thing when I was young, and when as I got older, and the generation that came up behind me, the 2 or 3 generations that came up behind me, culture began to change. But we're going to ask the question tonight: was the change for the better? Because as Alicia says, it's a cultural thing where people are getting tatted up or wearing nose rings and things of that nature, even the tongue ring. Now, I beg to differ even on that, Alicia, because we know this tongue ring thing has a sexual component to it. Now, maybe it evolved into that, and before, I don't know if a tongue ring is a part of the African culture or not. Y'all kind of see what I'm saying, right? So today's piercings especially have evolved into high-end fashion accessories. People aren't just piercing their ears with safety pins in the basement anymore. They are doing the luxury boutique to get their gold and diamond earrings, studs, and setups. Has become a sign of wealth and style. Is that the culture? Looking wealthy? And if it's stylish, what style? If you're not repping the African culture, which is, like Alicia said, is where that came from. If you're not repping the African culture, then what are you repping? Are you repping some pop star, some athlete you mimicking or pretending to be like, or wanting to look? I knew a guy. He was an alcoholic. And he used to hang out like on 79th and Halsted, 77th and between 77th and 79th and Halsted, up and down there. And he wore this little bandana because I believe somebody told him that he looked like Tupac. And he had that little bandana on his head, every day, and people started calling him Tupac, Now, was he doing that for attention or was it a fashion thing? You see what I'm saying? We can say what we want to say about these situations, but the bottom line, we really don't know unless people express to us where they're coming from with this stuff. Hey, y'all, 15 minutes go real quick, boy. I could be talking about this all day. But again, tune in tonight, 8 o'clock, on my same Facebook page, YouTube channel. I host a podcast called the Transformation Institute Podcast for Change. And tonight we're going to be discussing Black culture. Is Black culture today beneficial to our race? So I hope y'all tune in, man. But with that being said, I thank you all for showing up. Hey, we'll be back here. How they used to say, we'll be white black. We'll be white black tomorrow. Same time, 12 noon. See you then. Until then, continue to think for a change. Take care of your mind. Take care of your health. And we'll be back in the mix tomorrow at 12 noon. Till then, peace out.